I remember somebody saying to me that the moment that Julie passes is going to be a moment that you're never going to forget. You know, it's like the birth of a child. So the stark difference of when Julie finally arrived here was almost like, it sounds weird in that scenario, but a bit of a breath of fresh air. Jules was my best friend. There's only 2.5 years almost to the day between us. So we were very close. However, we used to fight like cat and dog.
There was a slightly bigger gap between me and my sisters. So I was a lot younger, but I always remember her spoiling me, going on holiday with her and Chris and Centre Parks. You guys used to take me shopping a lot, and they definitely spoilt me as a little girl. Yeah.
Love shopping. That's why her email was Julie Shopaholic.
Yes, that's definitely where I got my shopping habits from, I think. My sisters.
She was a great mum. When they made the decision to move from Chalfont to Devon, that's when she became a full-time mum. She just like blossomed into kind of motherhood, didn't she? Kind of being able to be with Josh full-time.
She became ill on the 7th of June. She was at David Lloyd playing tennis as right as ninepence. Then that evening, she started getting terrible pains around her side, didn't she? And got so bad that she actually called an ambulance out because they said she had a cyst on her liver. She had about half a dozen or more scans, MRIs, ultrasounds, and they said, oh, you've got a little bit of a blood clot in your bile duct. So they put her on stuff to thin her blood and everything, but she wasn't getting any better, was she? And we just thought, you know, they'll sort this cyst out and she'll be fine.
Chris rang to say that she was being moved from the ward to intensive care.
Because initially you called me, because I'd moved up to Crawley, so I wasn't in the area, but you called me to say she was moving to a high dependency ward. And I remember being like, what? Like, you just think your sister's in hospital, like you say, like antibiotics, she's just a bit poorly. They're going to figure it out.
She said, the nurse said to her, do you know who this is, pointing to me? And this is the last thing I ever heard her say was, that's my sister, Samantha. And Ever the Joker, he pointed to Chris, her partner, and said, who's this? And she said, I don't know who that is. And like, so like even in those moments where she wasn't particularly lucid, you know, her jokey humour side kind of came out. But on the Friday, essentially, we were all taken into a private room, and essentially they said that she had cancer of the bile duct. There wasn't anything that they could do other than make Julie comfortable. And I don't think, when I look back, I don't think they expected Jules to last the weekend, because they kept her in the ICU. And Monday morning, she's still with us, holding on, not really looking like she's going anywhere. And that's when they first spoke to us about coming to the hospice. And I think our immediate concern was, we don't want Julie going anywhere where we can't all be with her. Even though we were facing the inevitable, hospice still felt like a really scary place to be. When we first arrived, we were all sat out in the garden, weren't we? And the lead counsellor came round and spoke to us all to talk about kind of how hospice care will support us kind of through that time and beyond. But the gardens were just that a bit of normality in a time that's
horrendous.
Yeah, horrendous. And again, the stark difference from the clinical environment that we were in the hospital, just being able to kind of walk around massively helped. But on the Tuesday, I just remember it so clearly. We were sat in the room, we had catchphrase on telly, do you remember?
No, I can't remember that.
And I think it just weirdly felt normal. We're there, we're all shouting out, trying to guess the catchphrase. And just something different happened with Julie's breathing. And I remember just panicking, like, call the nurse, like, and one of the team came in and she didn't have to say anything. She just kind of took Julie's hand, and kind of, we knew that this was very, very close. You and
Me and my
Al came in
partner.
from the garden.
Yeah.
I just remember Josh and Chris were ahead.
Yeah.
You and Dad were holding her arms. We were rubbing her leg, and we were all there telling her how much we loved her. What an amazing sister she was. And we were all there just holding her hand, or whatever bit we could hold, as she slipped away. When we were told that it was a thing that we will remember forever, that is very true. And I will forever be just so grateful that we could all be there together in that moment and know that
She knew we were there.
she knew we were there, and hopefully she wasn't scared because we were there with her. And I don't know how many times you can say thank you to an organisation like Hospiscare for making that happen for us, because if we were in the hospital or the ICU, it would have been maximum of 2 of us at a bed and things like that, and that would have been devastating for those that weren't with Jules as she kind of made that final moment from living to not being here anymore.